Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I've got fresh out of my mailbox, Olympia by Bastien Vives and the team of Ruppert and Mulot. It's by Fantagraphics, and it's a follow-up to sequel to the book by the same team, The Grand Odalisque. Grand Odalisque introduces us to these three women who are art thieves, and they run a heist on the Louvre to steal the Grand Odalisque. It's a fun adventure book. A little bit disappointing to me in that I'm used to Bastien Vives being a little bit more serious, but he's absolutely one of my favorite cartoonists, and I'll pick it up, and I still like this book. I like Olympia even better. I think the sequel's even better. I like the development of the characters in this one more. Maybe I know them a little bit better. And now, like with the Grand Odalisque, I never thought there would be a sequel or there needed to be. And now I'm hoping that there's more in this series. I'm really starting to enjoy this team of artists together. I have no idea who's doing what on the book. I think they kind of mix duties. But right out the gate, you have the Bastien Vives vibe of like these really sparse lines, disconnected contours, things like missing eyes. They're very like simple and calligraphic figures, but you never feel cheaped on the details either. Like, nothing's very clean or crisp, but it still feels like a very detailed book in the art. Really good colors, nice printing. Even though some of the colors get pretty dark, like the lines still stand out. It's on a matte paper. It's not glossy, so it soaks up and desaturates some of the colors, which is one of my favorite ways to see colors. Like these really rich colors become a little bit more natural just because of the paper. So I think that's great. The story starts with Carol, the woman who had got the team together, leaving the team, and the other two women, Alex, and I'm blanking on her name, this other woman here, they're left together, and they're just kind of pulling some petty heists, like trying to rip off a jewelry store, a smaller museum, getting some antiques, and they get into trouble and piss off a gangster, and so he sets them up he's expecting them to go pull off a really, really big heist. And what he wants them to steal is the painting Olympia by Manet, as well as two other paintings that kind of form a lineage that Manet would have been involved in. So Giorgione's Sleeping Venus and Titian's Venus of Urbino. And then Manet is obviously in that line of the reclining Venuses. Personally, I'm really happy that they're going to steal Olympia. It's a painting I really like talking about with my art appreciation students when we're talking about different critical theories and different ways of analyzing a piece of painting, especially running like contextual analysis on something, looking at different political contexts and how that would change someone's opinion of a painting. And this painting, Olympia by Manet, is especially cool for that, because at the time it came out, it was seen as very left progressive. It's representing a person of color. It's got a woman confronting the male gaze. She was a well-known prostitute. So it was very, very much avant-garde and pushing the boundaries in that way. Nowadays, a lot of people see this as an extremely racist and sexist regressive painting, which I find to be kind of funny. I had a peer who got very mad at a colleague, publicly called them out on social media for using this painting to advertise an art history class, saying, how dare you show an obviously racist piece showing a black person in a subservient slave position, and the sexist piece where a woman's nude on display. So I find it particularly interesting to see how that context changed from the time it was made to now, and I like to use that as a conversation piece with my students. So I really like that it's now the kind of focus of a heist book. I think the thing that really, really sold me on this book in terms of the story versus the previous one is they get strapped with this killer, this mob killer that's going to go watch the three women as they steal this painting, Antonio, and they just call him Tony. And I like like the banter between them. I think Tony really rounds out the crew here and makes this book awesome. Also, Carol has gone and got pregnant, so there's that extra bit of just like drama in the book that I think anything Vives is dealing with, when they start dealing with actual like human driven things, is where he really shines. But I love how immediately Alex just starts fucking around with Tony, messing with him on the train, trying to get a reaction out of him. And that kind of continues where they know he's not going to do anything to them until they get the paintings. He has to wait until they get the paintings, and then he's supposed to, he's supposed to be guarding them and make sure they don't screw around, but they know he's going to kill them, basically. And so they're trying to build a relationship with him, and they start to get him to crack. He admits to having a kid. And then maybe my favorite scene in the book, first off, you have just this really awesome colors, really cool representations of a club, which is a carryover from the first book. The girls really like to go clubbing, but now they've got Tony with them, and he's out there like motorboating some girls in the club, and they're like, well, he's really having fun out there. And it turns out that Alex gave him some ecstasy, so he's really wiling out in the club, to the point where they have to go to another club, and then he's out there just expressing himself, dancing, break dancing and stuff. So I really like that. I really like the way that the crew is messing with this killer that they're strapped with. And it takes about 100 pages out of the 140-ish, 130. Well, no, the story's about 130. It takes until the last 30 pages for the heist to actually go, which is it shows like the focus on character. I guess it takes to about page 90 for it to kick off. And then there's some totally absurd, wild things. I won't spoil it, but there's some really absurd circumstances that they deal with in the heist that I think level up the action comedy from the first one. So I never would have thought that there should have been a sequel to the Grand Odalisque, but I've kind of fallen in love with the crew now. And they leave the end kind of hanging. I won't say exactly what happens with the end, but they leave it where it could have a sequel, it could not. They could kind of go any which way with it. But after this one, I would really enjoy a third. As always, Fantagraphics does a great job on the production. So really like this book. Absolutely recommend it. Bastien Vives is by far one of my top current working cartoonists, and I'll pick up anything he does. Ruppert and Mulot, some of their stuff I like. I saw some of the Pernium technique, and that just wasn't my thing. But Vives, anything. I hope Fantagraphic keeps publishing anything of his that hasn't been published in English. I'm always there for his books. Thanks for watching along, guys. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.